Welcome. Today we're taking a quick look at the top 5 Lincoln penny 1-cent coins from the United States of America. From classic wheat cents to key date and rare mint mark varieties, these pennies can be worth much more depending on condition and rarity. Whether circulated or uncirculated, small details can make a big difference for collectors. Let's get started. First up, the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1978 without a mint mark in circulated condition. A small copper piece that carries decades of American history in its worn surfaces. At first glance, a 1978 Lincoln penny might seem completely ordinary, something you might find in a jar at home or receive as change from a store, yet beneath its humble appearance lies a story connected to American culture, economics, and craftsmanship during the late 1970s. The year 1978 was a time of transition in the United States, marked by economic challenges, rising inflation, and shifting cultural trends, and this penny quietly moved through that era as part of everyday transactions across the nation. Because this coin does not display a mint mark under the date, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historically significant mints in the country, responsible for producing millions of coins that fueled daily commerce. Philadelphia coins from this period were struck in large quantities, yet each individual penny developed its own identity through circulation, wear, and the countless hands that carried it from place to place. In circulated condition, the 1978 Lincoln cent shows natural signs of use, including light scratches, softened details, and slight discoloration, all of which add character and authenticity to the coin rather than diminishing its appeal. The obverse side features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of his birth, making it one of the longest-running designs in American coinage history. Even with circulation wear, Lincoln's profile remains clearly visible, with the outline of his beard, nose, and coat still distinguishable, reflecting the durability of the engraving and the strength of the coin's design. Above Lincoln's head, the inscription "In God We Trust" stretches along the upper rim, while the word Liberty appears to the left, and the date 1978 sits to the right, all elements that remain readable even after years of handling. The warm brown or reddish-brown tone that often appears on circulated 1978 pennies comes from the copper composition, which gradually changes color as it reacts to air and moisture over time. Turning the coin over reveals the familiar wheat-free reverse design used from 1959 to 2008, featuring the Lincoln Memorial centered proudly on the reverse side. The Lincoln Memorial reverse was introduced to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and it replaced the earlier wheat ears design, symbolizing a new era in the penny's visual history. Even in circulated condition, the Lincoln Memorial building is clearly identifiable, with its columns and structure still visible, though softened by decades of movement through pockets and cash drawers. Above the memorial, the inscription United States of America arches boldly, with E pluribus unum placed just below it, and 1 cent firmly marking the denomination at the bottom. This coin likely passed through grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines, and countless everyday transactions, silently witnessing the daily routines of Americans in the late 20th century. Each small scratch and mark on its surface represents a chapter in its journey, from one owner to another, across cities, towns, and neighborhoods throughout the country. Collectors often appreciate circulated coins because they represent real history, not preserved behind glass, but lived and used as part of ordinary life. Although millions of 1978 pennies were produced, finding examples with unique characteristics, unusual toning, or striking errors can make certain coins stand out among the rest. Understanding the value of a circulated 1978 Lincoln cent requires attention to detail, including the sharpness of the strike, the clarity of inscriptions, and the overall eye appeal of the coin. Coins from this era were primarily composed of copper, giving them weight and a distinctive feel that collectors recognize instantly when held in the hand. The absence of a mint mark continues to intrigue beginners who may not realize that Philadelphia coins of that time typically did not carry a mint identifier. Over the years, many collectors have built complete sets of Lincoln cents, carefully searching through rolls and jars of pennies in hopes of finding hidden varieties or high-grade circulated examples. Even a circulated coin can hold historical importance, reminding us that currency is not just money but a reflection of national identity and shared experience. The Lincoln cent remains one of the most collected coins in the United States, partly because it is accessible and partly because it carries the enduring image of one of America's most respected presidents. When you hold a 1978 penny in your hand, you are touching a piece of the late 1970s, a decade filled with change, resilience, and cultural evolution. The smoothness along the highest points of Lincoln's portrait tells the story of years in motion, proving that even the smallest coin can travel far and experience much. For many collectors, the thrill lies in discovering that something so common can, under the right circumstances, become unexpectedly valuable. That is why examining your pocket change carefully can sometimes lead to surprising discoveries that transform an ordinary penny into something extraordinary. And in rare and exceptional circumstances, a Lincoln 1-cent coin like this has reached a value of $45,000. Next up, the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1980 without a mint mark in circulated condition, a simple copper coin that may be far more interesting than you ever imagined. At first glance, a 1980 Lincoln penny might look completely ordinary, the kind of coin you would toss into a jar without a second thought, yet this small piece of currency carries with it the spirit of a changing America and decades of economic and cultural transformation. The year 1980 marked the beginning of a new decade filled with political shifts, rising inflation, and technological change, and this penny quietly circulated through that era, moving from hand to hand as part of daily life. Because this coin does not display a mint mark beneath the date, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, a historic institution that has been producing American coinage since the late 18th century. During this time period, Philadelphia commonly struck coins without adding a mint mark, making these pennies instantly recognizable to knowledgeable collectors who understand the minting practices of the era. In circulated condition, the 1980 Lincoln cent shows honest wear from years of use, with light scratches, softened high points, and a mellow brown tone that reflects its copper composition reacting naturally to air and handling. The obverse of the coin features the enduring portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909 and still beloved by collectors for its historical depth and artistic simplicity. Even after decades in circulation, Lincoln's profile remains clear, with the outline of his beard, forehead, and coat still visible despite the gentle smoothing that comes with time. Above his head, the phrase "In God We Trust" curves confidently along the rim, while the word liberty appears to the left, and the date 1980 stands firmly to the right, anchoring the coin to its specific year of origin. The color of a circulated 1980 penny often ranges from medium brown to deep chocolate tones, depending on how it was stored and used, giving each coin a slightly different personality. Turning the coin over reveals the Lincoln Memorial reverse design, which had been in use since 1959 and remains one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. The memorial is centered prominently, and even in circulated condition, its columns and structure are still identifiable, though softened by years of contact with other coins and surfaces. Above the building, United States of America stretches across the top, with E pluribus unum placed just beneath it, and 1 cent boldly marking the denomination along the bottom edge. This coin may have purchased small items such as candy, newspapers, or a cup of coffee, quietly participating in everyday life during a time when the American economy was facing significant challenges. Every mark and tiny abrasion on its surface tells a story of movement, exchange, and survival, proving that even the smallest denomination can have a long and meaningful journey. Collectors often appreciate circulated coins because they carry authenticity, showing real-world use rather than being preserved untouched in mint packaging. The 1980 Lincoln cent is particularly interesting because it was produced just a few years before the composition of the penny changed in 1982 from mostly copper to a zinc core, making pre-1982 pennies historically significant in terms of metal content. Holding a 1980 penny in your hand means holding a coin made primarily of copper, giving it a satisfying weight and a connection to the long tradition of copper coinage in the United States. Although millions were minted, not all circulated examples are equal, as some retain stronger details, cleaner surfaces, or more attractive natural toning than others. Understanding the coin's value requires examining the sharpness of Lincoln's features, the clarity of the inscriptions, and the overall eye appeal despite circulation wear. Even small differences in preservation can significantly impact a coin's desirability among collectors who are searching for standout examples. The absence of a mint mark continues to intrigue beginners, often leading them to research minting practices and discover more about the Philadelphia Mint's history. For seasoned collectors, a circulated 1980 penny represents an accessible yet historically meaningful addition to a Lincoln cent collection. The coin stands as a reminder that American currency is not merely transactional but symbolic, reflecting the nation's leaders, architecture, and values in miniature form. Its worn surfaces speak quietly of decades spent traveling through wallets, pockets, and cash registers, each exchange adding to its narrative. While many people overlook coins like this, collectors understand that hidden varieties, striking anomalies, or exceptional preservation can elevate an ordinary penny into something extraordinary. That is why searching through rolls of old pennies can sometimes feel like a treasure hunt, where patience and knowledge come together to reveal unexpected discoveries. And in rare and exceptional circumstances, A Lincoln 1-cent coin like this has reached a value of $45,000. Next up. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1985 without a mint mark in bad condition. A humble penny that may appear damaged and ordinary but still carries decades of history and potential value. At first glance, a 1985 Lincoln penny in bad condition might not seem impressive at all, with heavy wear, discoloration, scratches, and possibly even small dents or corrosion marks, yet beneath that rough surface lies a coin that has survived years of circulation and countless exchanges. The year 1985 places this coin firmly in the mid-1980s, a period of economic recovery, technological growth, and cultural change in the United States, and this penny quietly moved through that era as part of everyday life. Because it does not display a mint mark beneath the date, this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which by 1985 had resumed using the P-mint mark on most denominations but still did not include it on the Lincoln cent for circulation. Understanding this detail is important for collectors, as the absence of a mint mark on a penny from this year is normal for Philadelphia issues and does not automatically indicate an error. By 1985, Lincoln cents were made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, a composition introduced in 1982 to reduce production costs, and this change in metal content makes coins from this era distinct from earlier solid copper cents. In bad condition, the thin copper plating may show signs of wear, revealing dull spots, uneven coloring, or darker areas where the surface has reacted to moisture or environmental exposure. The obverse side still features the classic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, a design that has remained on the penny for more than a century, symbolizing unity, leadership, and resilience. Even when heavily worn, the outline of Lincoln's profile can still be recognized, though finer details like the texture of his hair or the sharpness of his beard may be significantly softened. Above his head, the phrase "In God We Trust" may appear faint or partially worn, while "Liberty" to the left and the date 1985 to the right might show signs of flattening due to years of friction. Despite its rough condition, these inscriptions help preserve the coin's identity and confirm its authenticity, even when the surface shows extensive use. Turning the coin over reveals the Lincoln Memorial reverse design, which was standard for pennies from 1959 through 2008, featuring the memorial building as a tribute to the president depicted on the obverse. In bad condition, the memorial's columns and steps may be heavily smoothed, with only the general outline of the structure remaining clear, yet the overall design is still identifiable. The inscriptions "United States of America" and 1 cent may appear worn or partially faded, but they continue to frame the reverse side and anchor the coin's denomination and origin. Coins in bad condition often tell the most dramatic stories, as they have clearly experienced years of handling, exposure, and perhaps even neglect, making them true survivors of circulation. This particular penny may have traveled through thousands of transactions, moving between wallets, vending machines, cash registers, and pockets across cities and towns. Every scratch, darkened patch, or worn edge is evidence of that journey, showing that the coin was not preserved in a collection but lived fully as part of everyday commerce. Collectors sometimes overlook coins in poor condition, yet they can still hold educational value, historical interest, and even hidden potential depending on rare errors or unusual characteristics. Because the zinc core can react differently to environmental exposure, some 1985 pennies in bad condition may show bubbling, peeling, or surface irregularities that make them visually distinct. While most circulated and worn examples carry minimal market value, condition alone does not always determine worth, as rare minting errors or unique varieties can significantly increase demand. Learning to evaluate coins like this requires patience and close examination, including checking for doubling, off-center strikes, or other unusual features that may not be obvious at first glance. The 1985 Lincoln cent represents a transitional era in U.S. coin production, reflecting both economic adjustments and the continued legacy of Lincoln's enduring image. Even a coin in rough shape connects us to the daily lives of people who used it decades ago, reminding us that currency is part of shared human experience. Holding such a coin can inspire curiosity, prompting research into minting practices, metal composition, and the broader history of American coinage. Though many people might discard a badly worn penny without thought, collectors understand that every coin deserves a careful look before being dismissed. Sometimes, hidden within what appears to be a damaged or ordinary coin, there may be something rare, something unusual, something that sets it apart from millions of others. That is why examining your spare change carefully can turn an overlooked coin into an unexpected discovery, transforming something common into something remarkable. And in rare and exceptional circumstances, a Lincoln 1 cent coin like this has reached a value of $45,000. Next up. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1976 without a mint mark in bad condition. A small copper piece that still carries a powerful story despite its worn and damaged look. At first glance, a 1976 Lincoln penny in bad condition may not seem worth saving, with heavy scratches, dark discoloration, faded details, and possibly even corrosion spots, yet beneath that rough surface lies a coin that has survived nearly half a century of American history. The year 1976 is especially significant because it marked the bicentennial of the United States, a time of national celebration, pride, and reflection on 200 years of independence, and this penny quietly circulated during that historic period. Although special bicentennial designs appeared on quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins, the Lincoln cent retained its traditional design, making 1976 pennies part of the everyday currency used during that memorable year. Because this coin does not display a mint mark under the date, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which during that era produced cents without placing a mint mark on them. Philadelphia has played a central role in American coin production since the late 1700s, and a 1976 penny from this mint connects directly to that long tradition of craftsmanship and history. By 1976, Lincoln cents were still composed primarily of copper, giving them a warm reddish tone when new, though many circulated examples have since turned brown or dark due to oxidation and years of handling. In bad condition, the once bright copper surface may now appear dull, uneven, or heavily toned, sometimes showing dark patches or environmental damage from moisture and storage conditions. The obverse side features the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, introduced in 1909, and even when heavily worn, the outline of his profile remains visible, reminding us of the enduring respect for the 16th president. Details such as the fine strands of Lincoln's hair or the crispness of his beard may be largely flattened in poor condition, yet the overall shape of the design continues to hold its identity. Above his head, the inscription "In God We Trust" may appear faint or partially worn, while Liberty to the left and the date 1976 to the right may show signs of smoothing from decades of friction. Despite its worn state, these inscriptions anchor the coin in its time and confirm its authenticity, allowing collectors to appreciate its age and journey. Turning the coin over reveals the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, which was introduced in 1959 and remained in use until 2008, becoming one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. In bad condition, the memorial building may appear heavily worn, with softened columns and nearly flat steps, yet the structure can still be identified by its familiar shape. The inscriptions "United States of America" and 1 cent may be partially faded but remain legible enough to preserve the coin's denomination and national identity. Coins in poor condition often tell the most dramatic stories because their wear clearly shows that they were not set aside or protected but actively used in daily life. This penny likely passed through thousands of hands, perhaps used to buy candy, newspapers, or small everyday necessities during the mid-1970s. Each scratch and mark is a silent witness to those exchanges, giving the coin character and authenticity that cannot be replicated artificially. Collectors sometimes overlook coins in bad condition, yet they still serve as valuable historical artifacts and learning tools for understanding grading, composition, and circulation patterns. Because 1976 pennies were produced in large numbers, most circulated examples carry only modest value, but unique errors or unusual characteristics can dramatically increase interest. Close inspection is always important, as doubling in the lettering, off-center strikes, or other minting anomalies can sometimes be discovered even on heavily worn coins. The copper composition of pre-1982 cents also adds an additional layer of interest, as these coins represent the final years before the transition to zinc-based cents. Holding a worn 1976 penny in your hand connects you directly to the bicentennial year, a time when Americans celebrated their history while looking toward the future. Even in rough condition, the coin serves as a reminder that currency is more than metal, it is a reflection of national identity and shared experience. The darkened surfaces and softened details tell a story of resilience, proving that even small coins can endure decades of movement and use. While many might see only damage, collectors often see opportunity, understanding that condition is only one factor in determining a coin's full potential. Sometimes, hidden among worn and overlooked pennies, there may be rare varieties or unusual features waiting to be discovered by a careful observer. That is why it is always worth taking a closer look at your spare change, because what appears ordinary could hold unexpected significance. And in rare and exceptional circumstances, a Lincoln 1-cent coin like this has reached a value of $45,000. Next up, the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1982 without a mint mark in circulated condition, a coin that represents one of the most important transition years in modern American coinage. At first glance, a 1982 Lincoln penny may look completely ordinary, the kind of coin you might overlook in a handful of change, yet this particular year holds a special place in numismatic history because it marked a dramatic shift in the composition of the 1-cent coin. The year 1982 was a turning point when the United States Mint changed the penny's metal content from primarily copper to a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper, a move driven by rising copper prices and economic necessity. Because this coin does not display a mint mark under the date, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which in 1982 continued its long-standing tradition of producing cents without a mint mark for circulation. Philadelphia's role in this transition year makes these coins particularly fascinating, as both copper and zinc versions were struck there, creating multiple varieties that collectors still search for today. In circulated condition, a 1982 penny often shows honest wear from decades of use, including light scratches, small contact marks, and a mellow brown tone that reflects years of handling. If the coin is one of the copper versions, it may feel slightly heavier in the hand and display a richer brown or reddish-brown color that deepens with age. If it is one of the zinc core examples, the surface may appear slightly lighter in tone, and over time, small signs of plating wear may become visible in heavily circulated pieces. The obverse features the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has remained on the penny since 1909 and continues to symbolize unity, strength, and leadership. Even in circulated condition, Lincoln's profile remains recognizable, though the finer details of his hair and beard may be softened from years of friction against other coins. Above his head, the inscription "In God We Trust" stretches confidently along the rim, while Liberty appears to the left and the date 1982 is clearly positioned to the right. The clarity of these inscriptions plays a key role in determining the coin's overall appeal, even when moderate wear is present. Turning the coin over reveals the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, a design that had been in use since 1959 and had become deeply familiar to generations of Americans. The memorial building stands at the center, and even when circulated, its columns and architectural outline remain visible, though perhaps gently smoothed. Above the building, United States of America curves across the top, with E pluribus unum placed beneath it, and 1 cent marking the denomination at the bottom. The 1982 penny is especially intriguing because it exists in several varieties, including large date and small date versions, along with copper and zinc compositions, making careful examination essential for collectors. A circulated coin might not appear remarkable at first glance, but subtle details in the shape of the numbers in the date or the coin's weight can reveal important differences. This makes the 1982 Lincoln Cent a favorite among coin roll hunters and enthusiasts who enjoy the thrill of discovering hidden varieties in everyday change. In circulated condition, the surfaces tell a story of movement and exchange, reflecting years spent in pockets, cash registers, vending machines, and coin jars. Each small mark and area of wear adds character, proving that the coin participated fully in daily commerce during the early 1980s. The early 1980s were a period of economic adjustment in the United States, and this small coin played its quiet role in transactions large and small across the country. Collectors value this year not only for its transitional metal change but also for the educational opportunity it provides in understanding minting processes and economic history. Holding a 1982 penny connects you to a moment when the mint adapted to rising costs, demonstrating how even small coins reflect larger national challenges. The absence of a mint mark is a normal and expected feature for Philadelphia cents of this year, yet it still sparks curiosity among beginners who are just beginning to learn about mint identification. Even a circulated example can hold appeal if it shows balanced wear, attractive toning, and strong overall detail. While most circulated 1982 pennies carry modest value, certain rare varieties, particularly in high grade or with unusual characteristics, can attract serious collector interest. This is why examining your 1982 pennies carefully can be both educational and exciting, as small differences may lead to significant discoveries. The combination of historical transition, design continuity, and everyday circulation makes the 1982 Lincoln Cent one of the most fascinating modern pennies to explore. And in rare and exceptional circumstances, a Lincoln 1-cent coin like this has reached a value of $45,000.